I'm Tracy, and I wanted to do a series of videos on DeFi, not so much because it's the new hot thing, but because there's this assumption that since it is new, existing regulations don't apply to it. And we saw that early on in crypto, especially with the exchanges who thought erroneously that things like money transmitter laws, state money transmitter laws, wouldn't apply to crypto exchange, right, and things of that nature. And DeFi is no different. I don't think it takes away from the efficacy or like the promise of the technology, but there is obviously some legalities that surround it which are unsettled, but do in fact exist, right? And the first topic that I wanted to hit was DeFi structure, right? Everything has a structure legally, right? And the question I get often is, how do I set up, my DeFi organization, right? It's decentralized, so I don't need to incorporate. I don't need to do all these things. And for something to be truly decentralized, I get and understand why a traditional corporate structure wouldn't necessarily work, but that doesn't mean that it in fact has no legal bearing. And for someone who is like promoting a DeFi project, there's still liabilities that can accrue from DeFi, right? There's still liabilities that exist. It's just because it's decentralized and permissionless and peer-to-peer and all these great things doesn't mean that liability can't accrue, right? And some very smart attorneys eventually will come up with ways to affix liability on the promoters of DeFi products. I can almost guarantee it. So you have to balance the nature of the technology, right? The nature of the decentralized nature of it with a need to have a legally sound footing, for lack of a better term. So what I propose, and I think works, and you have used in the past, is a trust structure. Now, a trust is nothing more than a legal vehicle pursuant to which property is held for the benefit of others, right? You see this in like estate planning, where you have a trust set up for someone's grandchild or their children or something like that. But the trustee titularly remains the owner of said property, but has no real exercise or indicia of ownership in the traditional sense over that property. That trustee is tasked with merely holding the assets for the benefit of the beneficiaries. So in the DeFi context, when you're talking about a decentralized organization, the beneficiaries really are the ones that have the control. And what I propose, and again have proposed and have seen work, is a trust, whether it be offshore or onshore, governed by an independent trustee, right, for the beneficiary of the token holders or the community members, right, which is possible to do. And so you look at places like offshore, you think of Cook Islands, which has a tremendous trust structure, right, which is known for its asset protection, its anonymity, its malleability in terms of, who can be the beneficiaries, because you're going to have countless unnamed beneficiaries effectively. And the assets of that DeFi platform and the technology, because someone has to own it, right, is owned by the trust, is in the name of the trust, held for the benefit of the token holders, community members, as it were, right? In the US, you've got places like Wyoming, South Dakota is particularly interesting, Alaska, all places I've gone into before, but this is more appertinent to the question of what structure do I need? Because a corporation, I admit, and I've had this argument with other people, a corporation doesn't work, an LLC doesn't work, because you have to have centralized management, right? And so you could one could argue, well, we have all the shareholders are so-and-so, and they're the beneficiaries, the token holders, the community members, whatever, but you still have centralized management at the top. And the way corporate laws are designed is that those members have to effectively um, adhere to directorship decisions and the like, and it takes away from the decentralized nature. So I believe for DeFi, you need a structure. You definitely need a structure, not only for the effective governance, right? And to put some type of governance other than just edict or fiat, but also for the benefit of the promoters who are putting this together and wanting to ensure that their project doesn't come back to effectively bite them, right? So I look at, again, a trust structure, which they have in every United state. They have a trust law. Some are better than others. I think the trustee has to be independent. So I think that makes you look at places like South Dakota and Alaska and Wyoming. And then offshore, I think, the premier trust locale offshore is Cook Islands. One, the asset protection benefits are unparalleled. The anonymity is unparalleled. The cost is very cost effective. And you ultimately can mimic the decentralized nature, but within the confines of well-established trust law. And that should be the objective of any startup DeFi project, right? Because you can't just exist in a vacuum. It doesn't make sense. And legally it's going to fall apart, or legally it's going to get people sued, and that's not what you want. So, the best laid plans and all that stuff. So that's my take. If you're looking into DeFi, had questions, feel free to hit me up. Happy to answer and happy to debate with anybody on this topic, because I've heard various other opinions, which I respect and, don't always necessarily, I guess, agree with, but happy to hear you out and talk through it and maybe change my mind. So hit me up, Adam, at adamtracy.io, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks.